Hello, everybody, and welcome to BioBasics Huddle. This is Ramesh Chandran from BioBasics. Some of you may be new to BioBasics, and as an introduction, we are an organic food company working for the past 5 years, offering over 300 odd organic, chemical-free, whole food products, ranging from fresh produce to like fruits and vegetables, to grocery items like rices, millets, oil, spices, etc. And you can find us online on our website as well as Facebook and Instagram. You can also order these things online as well as offline. And some of you might be new to these huddles. So these are essentially get-togethers among friends where we talk about things that matter to all of us, food and health and environment, sustainability and such. So in the last huddle session that we had a couple of weeks ago, we talked about millets and the why and what of millets. We talked about the revival of millets in India and how millets can contribute to better health. And you can find the recording of that session on our YouTube channel. Most of us here have grown up without having any exposure to millets. So we really can't talk about our childhood memories of millet dishes. At least I can't. Because most of us don't have any childhood memories of millet dishes. But today we're going to talk about how to change that, how to adopt millets into our diet in a very tasty way. And the reality is that until and unless we build millets into our diet and make it a popular option for consumers, not just for health and curing diseases and such, but also as a way of life, the revival of millets in India may be difficult to sustain. Because ultimately, what the consumers eat is what the farmers grow. And the less diverse our diet, the less diverse our crops. And a diverse set of crops is what assures our food sovereignty, particularly in the context of climate change. So we at BioBasics encourage all kinds of diversity of crops. While we recommend many types of rices, we also recommend millets to be built into our diet. And we also offer various kinds of wheats, which I personally had not even imagined about. Anyway, coming back to millets, how do we adopt millets into our diets? And it's only possible if we are able to recreate many of our favorite dishes that we are used to, which we are used to in the rice and wheat form, if we can recreate these with millets. And to be honest, while we know that millets are good for the planet and for the farmers, we consumers are likely to adopt it only if it tastes good. So today's BioBasics Huddle, we want to help all of us with ideas on how to bring millets onto our plates, how to make it tasty, and how to adopt millets into our diet. So to do this, we have invited Sujata Lakshmanan, an educator for over 25 years with the reputed schools in India, a person who's very passionate about environmental issues. And she's also the host of a very popular YouTube channel called Munch and Mull, which is all about food and how we relate to it. And above all, she's a good friend of BioBasics. So she holds a master's degree in microbiology, and like me, she grew up in Pune and is now based in Coimbatore. And her husband Lakshmanan is also a dear friend and a director at BioBasics. So Sujata is going to talk about various ideas for millet recipes, and I'll let her have a free flow of her ideas. And we'll also ask her about her experience about millets as we go on. But before we get into a conversation with Sujata, I just wanted to let all of you know that this session is being recorded. So all of you are on mute, but we want this to be as interactive as possible. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions from your side. So please type in your question in the chat box, and Madhu, who is the host, will pick it up from there at the end of the session. This session will be for an hour. We have requested Sujata to show us some of the recipes she has tried out. And please stay with us till the very end. And we'll share the contact details of Sujata, Munch and Mull that she represents, and also BioBasics if you need to get in touch with us directly. So please also leave your feedback before you leave the session. It will help all of us make it better in the future. So with that, I'll request Sujata to take over. And maybe, Sujata, you could start by, first of all, welcome to the BioBasics Huddle. And
Thank you.
maybe you could start by talking about your experience with millets. How did you come across millets? And if you could start with that, then we'll get into the presentation that you prepared.
Namaskarams, and I'm so happy to be part of this BioBasics huddle, and thanks to Ramesh, Devi and BioBasics for inviting me here to share my experiences with millets with all of you who are here. So Namaskarams and welcome. Yeah, how I was introduced to millets. As a child, I grew up in Maharashtra, in Pune. So I grew up among Maharashtrian neighbors. So bhakri, jawarachi bhakri, bajrachi bhakri was so common. And I want to stress this aspect that it was not as a health fad that Maharashtrians ate millets. It was part of their routine diet. It was not. Today the millet consciousness that has come into people is more from health related aspects, that we need to consume millets. But as I perceive, as my fondest memories of childhood is, it was never perceived as a health food. It was just part of the regular diet. So and also during our college days, when we used to go to Sinhagad Fort, one used to look forward to reach the top of the Sinhagad Fort in Pune and have bhakri and pitla, which was such a delicacy. And also I've had ambil, a very, very, it is a porridge like thing, a salty porridge made predominantly with natsini or finger millet, that is ragi. So because of that, I was exposed, but at home level, in my own home, I come from a South Indian Tamilian family. I don't think we used millets to a large extent, but ragi was used. Ragi was used as porridge or in kanji that Amma used to make, the kanji powder. So that was my exposure to millets. And again, I did not know them as millets. I did not even probably know the word millet at that time. It was just jawar and bajra. And so the word millet got introduced much, much, much later in life. But we were introduced to the dishes.
And how long back was it, Sujata, that you now, in the recent times, you built millets into your diet? And talk a little bit about that, and also how easy was it to add millets to your food, and how did your family respond to that?
Okay. Going back, we were part of the naval community because my husband was part of the defense. So we were posted in various different cities. So at that time, I don't think we used too many millets. And after that, I was a full-time volunteer with Isha Foundation, where I spent about 8 years as a full-time volunteer in the ashram. So there, of course, once in a while, we used to get millet, this thing. But I have started including millets on a regular basis since I shifted to Coimbatore to my own flat, and that was the same time when we got introduced to BioBasics. So it's almost about 6 years since millets have become a regular part of my diet, and I'm experimenting with various recipes and still experimenting. I mean, so I enjoy experimenting, and that's it. So regular diet, it's come for the last about 6 years. 6 years. Yeah.
And how did your family respond to that? What was the reaction around of everybody there?
Yeah, they enjoyed it. And my husband is a foodie. My son is a foodie. So my father-in-law also enjoys my cooking. So I have not perceived any kind of resistance as to, okay, this is tasting different, or this is not tasting, this is not up to the mark. No, I think we've all enjoyed. I have not heard something like, this is not tasty, or it doesn't taste as good as the rice idli, or we are enjoying it.
Right. I'm sure most of the folks who've joined us today, thank you everybody who've joined us. Most of them, I'm sure, would like to know from you what kind of dishes can be done, Most of us struggle. I mean, have struggled. I have reached a point where it's part of my diet as well. But most people who try to get into millets struggle with what to do with millets. They see the certain types of millets. They don't know what to do with it. So I know you have some slides to show us. So maybe you can step into
Yeah.
those. And
Let me just
yeah.
share the screen. Just a minute. Huh? Yeah. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. I think, okay, why millets first and foremost? As I said, why millets? All of you, definitely in the previous huddle session, it has been covered by millets. But before I go into the recipes, I thought we can have a quick review as to why we should be including millets in our diet. First and foremost, they are very healthy. They're high in fiber. They have low glycemic index. Now, what do we understand by glycemic indexes? Basically, because they are rich in fiber, when we consume a quantity of millets, the sugar is released gradually and not in bursts like polished rice, like white polished rice. So it is very, very slowly released and extremely suitable for diabetics. And also it's micronutrient rich, like a lot of these minerals like calcium, iron, phosphorus. And it's not that one particular millet is rich. Different millets have different micronutrient concentrations. So when we have a mix of millets in our diet, we are able to get those micronutrients from those millets. And of course, they're gluten free. Gluten allergy, I think, is more spoken about in the West rather than in India, because in North India and all, people are growing up with chapatis and wheat. So this is a very new term that in the recent past I've heard, that people being intolerant to gluten. So whereas millets are completely gluten free, farmer friendly, because it requires less water as compared to paddy or rice. Also, it is not very fertilizer intensive, or it's very easy to grow millet, so low agricultural inputs, and often it is rain fed agriculture, so you do not need predominant quantity of water to grow millets. And as I said, it is easy to grow. They're very hardy crops. They're drought resistant. So in terms of the environmental impact, they are drought tolerant, so your water input is very less. They're climate resilient. So, and also they require 70% less water than what you require for water. So these are predominant reasons why we should be including millets in our diet. Now, what is the perception around millets? Now, there is a certain resistance, and I think anything new, we are resistant to it unless we actually experiment. Anything new, even meeting people, sometimes, we are so resistant to meeting new people, and we are on our guard. I think if we keep our guard aside and we become a little flexible with everything in life, it makes life more simpler. So perception around millets is like, it's very difficult to replace rice and wheat. Like, I'm so used to eating rice and wheat that how can I replace millets? I do not know how to cook millets. Millets are difficult to cook, and I do not think my family will like it. So here at the end of this session, I'm sure these questions will be answered, where it is very, very possible to replace almost all dishes that you cook with rice. Now, this is not to say that you should not be eating rice, please. No, we need to have a mixture of grains, a good blend of grains into our diet. And rice, especially Biobasics, has such wonderful varieties of rice. So I buy different varieties and we cook with different varieties each day. So this is not to say that rice is unhealthy, but millets have their own advantages over rice. Now, I'm just going to, like, the most popular millets. Most popular millets are like finger millet, which is ragi, or nachni in Marathi, or kulavarg in Tamil. Then you have pearl millet, which is called bajra in Hindi, Marathi, which is called kambu in Tamil. You have sorghum, that is jawar, foxtail millet, little millet, kodo millet, barnyard millet. There are many, many more, but these are the most popular. And I have experimented basically with finger millet, sorghum, foxtail millet, kodo millet. I have experimented with this, so I have, put these names. There are many other millets. Now, as I said, my fond memories, of millets are in the form of bhakris. And also millet could be used in many forms. There are various forms of millets. First is in the whole form. Okay. Now in the whole form also, they come in raw and parboiled. Parboiled, as you know, diabetics, when they take rice, it is said that parboiled rice has a low glycemic index than raw rice. So in the same way, parboiled millets, basically when you parboil it, the nutrients from the husk of the millet is actually pulled inside the grain. So that is the advantage of using parboiled, but it's good to use a mixture. So you have whole millets raw form, you have whole parboiled, you have millets in their rava form, you have poha, you have wonderful millet pohas, and also flour. So I'm going to be introducing you to certain recipes using all these kinds of millet, all these forms of millet. So millet recipes, many permutations and combinations are possible. So this session is just to give you an idea, a bird's eye view. And finally, it is your creativity. Cooking is just an art, and it's you can be so creative with cooking. So it's not that whatever vegetables I have used, you need to use the same vegetables. Absolutely no. This is just a symbolic representation. It is up to your creativity how you want to use these recipes. So rice and wheat can be replaced in whole or part, but gradually I would suggest that those who are actually new to using millets, you can start off by replacing 50% millets and 50% grain in recipes. Instead of completely, let's say you're making idli, so instead of replacing the rice completely by ragi or any millet, you could use 50% rice and 50% millet to start with. So it is just a mindset change that is needed. So what you do with rice and wheat, you can do with millets. That's very, whatever you do with rice and wheat, you can do it with millets. Millets are relatively drier. And this I have experienced. When you have any millet dish, you tend to feel thirsty. So, you need to drink a lot of water when you have millets. And now here the recipes that I am going to be sharing, it is not as breakfast, lunch, dinner. We are just looking at what recipes are possible. It is your individual choice. What you may have for lunch, I may have for dinner, or what you may have for breakfast could be my lunch. So we are not going to be looking at breakfast, lunch, or dinner in that category. We're just going to be looking at various recipes which you can either have it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Okay. So now let's go to whole millets, the first category. Now, very simple is you can just have it like rice. Okay, and especially the small grain millets, it's very easy to cook. So you can just, like you're cooking rice, you just cook millets, especially kodo millet. Kodo millet comes out so well. And the proportion, like all these millets, all the small grain millets are suitable, like foxtail, little, kodo, proso, barnyard. And you can cook it in open fire or pressure cook. So in open fire, you require slightly more water than pressure cooking. So pressure cooking, the general proportion is for 1 cup of millet, you require 3 cups of water. But some people like soft rice, so they could add more water. So it depends. And with a little trial and error, you actually can figure it out. But in my experience, mostly for pressure cooking, I use about 3 cups of water to 1 cup of, the millet rice. So that is the simplest way you can start. Instead of rice, you just cook this and have it with your sambar or dal, or, so that is one of the simplest recipes. So then,
let me just stop there. So you said small millet. So I just want to make sure everybody understands here. So the bajra or the pearl millet and the sorghum are the big grains,
yes.
Right?
Yes,
and
yes.
you've not included ragi here, so I guess ragi is also, you can't have it like that.
Yeah, ragi, what happens is when we have rice, the small grains, they are like, they come as, they collect together. Whereas with ragi, what happens is even if you cook, that texture is not there where you can actually mix your liquid with that and have. So these smaller millets like foxtail, little, kodo, proso, barnyard is suitable when you're just having it without flavoring, just as rice. If you're having, these millets are suitable.
And the pearl millet and sorghum doesn't go very well that way.
I have never tried it actually. I've never tried it, but because it's big grains, it takes time to cook also. So this is like, you know, an instant, you just want to pressure cook the millet, 10 minutes mein your meal is ready. You just, you know, so I have not tried eating sorghum and bajra as in replacement of rice. I have not tried it as yet.
Okay, please.
Yeah. Now the simplest and the most favorite of many of us is curd rice. So it's so simple. Here, like I have used code, and wherever you can see this Munch and Mull, you know, icon, that means these recipes are uploaded on my YouTube channel. So please go to Munch and Mull YouTube channel and look for Kodo Millet curd rice. You will get the details of the recipe there. So here it is nothing but I have just, you know, pressure cooked the Kodo millet, as I said, 1:3. And I have see here the ingredients are given. Kodo millet, I have taken 1 cup. And it again, as I said, this is your creativity. Which vegetables you would like to add or fruits you would like to add to your curd rice. Children just love colorful dishes. So here I have taken kodo millet, carrot, pomegranate, curd, salt, and for seasoning, a typical South Indian seasoning of curd rice is mustard, urad dal, chana dal. So simple I have done is I've just cooked kodo millet like rice in the pressure cooker, 1:3. And once the rice is cooled, I have added the tadka to it using mustard, urad dal, chana dal. And once it is slightly cooled down, then you add the curd to it. Do not add curd when the rice is hot. So you take out the rice, cool it in a bowl. And then once it is cooled, you add the curd. It is such a delicacy. I mean, breakfast, lunch, dinner, it is so soothing for the system and you just enjoy. And it's a 1-pot meal. You do not need any dal. You do not need any vegetable. It's wholesome by itself. So you could use any millet, as I said, small millet, but this particular recipe has used kodo millet. Then, yeah, pulao, millet pulao. So here again, I have used kodo millet is one of my favorite millets, you know. So kodo millet pulao, and kodo millet supposed to be very good for weight loss also. People who are looking at weight, especially in this case, it is better to dry roast the kodo millet before you, you know, cook it. So for just about 4 to 5 minutes, you saute and dry roast the kodo millet. So here again, it is kodo millet 1 cup, and these are the vegetables. So what I've done is I have taken my saute and I've added the kodo spices and cook it. So it's pulao ready, and you can have it, you know, papad. It's wholesome. You don't require any other accompaniments. You could have a raita to go with this. Yeah, now this particular picture is variety rice, tondli bhat. In Marathi, tondli is kundru. In Hindi, we say kundru. Ivy gourd in English. And this is tomato rice. So this is, of course, I have not made it with millet, but this is just to give you an idea that you can replace the rice with the millet here, and you can make all your variety rice preparations switching to different millets. So these recipes are uploaded. As I said, this is already there in the channel. So now, wow, this I was introduced to by Ramesh's wife Devi from BioBasics, the co-founder of BioBasics, the red jawar khichdi. And I was so glad, because sabudana khichdi is one of my favorite, like from Maharashtra. Anybody from Maharashtra loves sabudana khichdi. And I used to do fasting as a kid just to eat sabudana khichdi, because the Maharashtrian way of fasting is sabudana khichdi.
So stop. I think maybe people might not know what sabudana is. The sago.
Yeah. Javarshi in Tamil.
Yes.
Javarshi in Tamil.
Sago in English.
Yeah. And what I find is, because I love sabudana khichdi, the sabudana or the sago that is available in the market today, it's absolutely white in color. And the moment I actually start washing the sago, a strong acid smell hits me. I mean, so I don't know what chemicals are used in, you know, processing that sago. And this recipe, I've absolutely fallen in love, and thanks to Devi. But of course, this is not so easy to cook like sabudana. So this needs to be soaked overnight. So red jawar needs to be soaked overnight and then pressure cooked for almost 6 to 7 whistles. Okay, because the jawar is quite hard to, cook. So it needs to be soaked at least for 4 to 5 hours and then pressure cook it. And then after pressure cooking, you just remove the water, drain off the water. And then the process is the same as sabudana khichdi. You can have potatoes and roasted groundnut powder. So same process as sabudana. I have not uploaded this recipe. Over a period of time, I will be uploading this recipe. So you just have to take a little ghee, put some jeera, saute the chopped potatoes, add the jawar, and then top it with groundnut powder, roasted groundnut powder with a dash of lemon and fresh dhania, chopped dhania. And it is so chewy, the texture of that, it is chewy, and you just enjoy putting that spoon of sorghum khichdi into your mouth and just chew it. So it's very nice.
And it's very easy also.
It's very filling. Yes, very filling. Then coming to foxtail millet pongal. So here I have used foxtail millet pongal. So here also you need not roast the millet because pongal again is something that you like it, more softer. So here what I have done is I have this also, you find it on Manchanmal channel, foxtail millet pongal. Here the labeling is wrong. It is not kodo millet. I have made it with foxtail millet. So the ingredients is foxtail millet 1 cup and moong dal is half cup. And preferably you can use the moong dal with skin also so that it can add to the fiber content. So you just actually, moong dal needs to be slightly roasted, slightly sauteed. So pressure cook that. And after that, the seasoning of the pongal is what gives pongal the characteristic pongal taste. So which we do it in ghee, peppercorn, jeera, cashew nut, raisin, and curry leaves. So this is the seasoning, and your tasty foxtail millet pongal is ready to go with either sambar or chutney. It's very, very tasty.
So Sujata, from me.
Yeah.
So what is there any criteria why you use certain millets for certain preparations? Like you said, kodo millet for pulao, foxtail millet for pongal. Is there any criteria?
No, nothing. I mean, I could make kodo millet pongal also, and I could make foxtail millet pulao also. Nothing like that. At least I didn't think of it that way. Okay. Just that whenever I order groceries from BioBasics, I just change an order. Like 1 month I'll order something, the next month I'll order something else. So that there's no particular thing. Okay. Then, now we come to the next is whole millets could be used to make millet idli and dosa. So now when you're starting off, you could actually look at replacing millets like let's say typical idli proportion is if you're using a mixie and not a grinder, 1:3, 1 urad dal to 3 rice. So instead of that, what you could do is you could actually take 1 urad dal and start off with 1.5 cup of ragi and 1.5 cup of rice. And once you start enjoying the feel of it, the color, because they like white color a lot. People are so prejudiced. I mean, they love white, everything white. So idli is white. So now for the past so many years, the idlis in my home are not white, except that once in a blue moon, in an emergency situation, when I pick up a packet of idli mavu, which is very, very rare, very rare. So that's the only time when I eat white idlis. At home, it's many years that we have stopped making white idlis. So then slowly, once you start enjoying this 50% rice and 50% millet, then you can switch to completely millet idlis, where for ragi is very, very popular to make idli and dosa, because the color and the feel of a ragi idli is very, very, very nice. So for 1 cup of rice, for 1 cup of urad dal, you can use 3 cups of ragi. And this is a trick. One of my naval friend has introduced me to this trick of getting soft idlis is you add half cup of either cooked rice. It is not soaked rice. I'm sorry. It is cooked rice. It is already cooked rice. Or you can use half cup of soaked poha. So either half cup of cooked rice or half cup of soaked poha. It could be rice poha or millet poha. I don't know what happens to it, but the idli turns out very, very soft and spongy. Okay. So now we come to rava. So these are some of the examples that you could make with whole millets. Now we come to rava. Rava can be actually replace your suji and dalia, and with biobasics you get sorghum rava, little millet, foxtail millet, kodo millet rava. And these ravas, because of their high fiber content, to cook them you require more water than your processed white rava or suji rava. You require a little bit more water to cook this rava. With rava, you can make rava upma. So, this is an example of rava upma. And you can add as much vegetables as you, and we are hooked to upma without vegetables, just that chili and kadi patta is all many people add, but it's best to add a lot of vegetables. That means your vegetable requirement is also met through just having a one pot meal. It becomes so much simpler than having a 3-course meal and a 4-course meal. Just make this one and have it with curd or achar. It is a wholesome meal by itself. So this is foxtail millet halwa, which I have made with foxtail millet instead of shira. In Marathi, shira is a sweet dish. So this is foxtail millet, and I have used cane sugar, raw cane sugar or jaggery powder to sweeten it, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's extremely delicious, this foxtail millet halwa. Very, very easy. You can again find the recipe in the channel. So here it is, how you make is you'll find it in the channel, but you just roast the rava, 1 cup of rava, take a little ghee and roast it. And then once it is roasted and the flavor emanates, then you can add water and milk. So generally it is you need about 1 cup of milk and about 1.5 to 2 cups of water for the foxtail millet to cook. But take care that after the millet is cooked, you add the sugar. Sugar means here refined this thing, cane sugar, because if you add the sweetener in the beginning, then the rava will not get cooked. So take care that first you add the milk and the water and let the rava get cooked. And after that, you add your cane sugar. And of course, you can, flavor it with saffron and dry fruits, all that. You can even, here I have added some ripe bananas into the shira. So this is all your creativity. So
Sujata, this is for rava. What is the proportion? Did you mention that? Water to rava?
3, 1:3. Because generally halwa, we don't like halwa to be dry. Halwa is slightly more kind of soft and, even it's not liquidy, but the consistency of halwa need not be loose like pulao. So 1:3 is works for millet ravas. So yeah. And there are more possibilities with millet rava. You could make laddu. And if you feel the texture of your rava is slightly coarse, let's say, you just have to put it one grind in the mixie and you can get slightly more finer rava. So what you have to do is just roast it so that it gets heated. And when it is hot, just slightly cool it. And while it is still warm, you just, put it in your mixer so that you can actually get a more finer consistency of rava. And very, very ideal for making rava laddu. So you just replace your refined rava that you get in the market, white rava, with the any ravas. Any rava is good for laddu. And korakattai is a very, very South Indian dish. It is a steamed dish. So basically you make upma. Basically the korakattai is you make upma out of that rava, and then you just, the upma is soft. So you just make rounds of it. The shape is like ellipsoid and you steam it. So that is what korakattai is all about. That is the salty korakattai. For Ganesh Chaturthi, I will show you. I have made the Purna korakattai, modak with ragi flour. We'll go to that later. So these are the possibilities with rava laddu, korakattai. Now coming to flour. This is the most easiest thing to use, flour. And you can start your day with porridge, porridge. And as I said, in Maharashtra, the salty version is called ambil. So here millet flours are available: sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet, little millet, foxtail millet. All these flours are available. And At my home, all the senior citizens, my in-laws, my mother, they all start their day with ragi porridge. Of course, I start my day with tea. That is something that I look forward to, my adrak chai. So all the senior citizens have the ragi porridge. So that so easily could be made. Yeah. So, and porridge, it is very, again, we have the recipe uploaded on Munch and Mull. You basically have to, take the, it's coming, I think the slide is there. Yeah. So with ragi flour, I have made this puttu. Puttu is traditionally made with rice flour, wheat flour, but you can experiment with ragi flour and look at the color of this puttu. It's completely 100% ragi flour. It is a steamed dish. You will find this recipe in Munch and Mull YouTube, this thing, and it looks so delicious, isn't it? I mean, look at the color, and I have used some carrots and all. So, and you don't even need a puttu maker. I have made this in a coconut shell. So you will find this recipe in the channel. I have just used a coconut shell with a hole in it to make my puttu. So you basically have to take the flour, ragi flour, add some salt and little bit of jaggery powder, and take warm water and mix it nicely, and at a consistency where it is not fully watery. You're just sprinkling water, and you just hold that flour into your hand. It should be able to be bound in a laddu form, that means that flour is ready. And then the whole process of making it very simple. You take a coconut shell, and to cover that hole, you put a little coconut. And then layer by layer, you add this flour, you add the ragi flour, then a layer of grated carrot, layer of grated coconut, then again the ragi flour, and you just fix this onto the cooker ka nozzle, pressure cooker nozzle, and steam it. Wonderful. So easy. And children, basically they love colorful stuff. So, it is very, very healthy, ragi puttu.
And the interesting thing, so I'll just mention from I don't do much of this cooking, but as a person who has been exposed, thanks to Devi, I've been eating all these millet delicacies also. And it's very difficult for most people. I can just mention for the benefit of everybody here. It's very difficult for a person to really detect the difference. So there are people who've had millet upma with us, and they didn't realize with made up of millet rava, but till the end of the meal they can't make out it is not the regular suji rava. It's a millet rava, but they cannot tell the difference. This morning we've had puttu at home. Puttu is that long mallu thing that you were talking about, and there again I couldn't make out the difference between, it was jawar flour, that is your sorghum flour, and I couldn't make out the difference. It looked as much as a white not white rice, but a slightly reddish rice kind of a thing. And so one can't really, if you don't tell this to the people who are eating, I think they can easily mistake millet to be anything like a rice or anything like that. Yeah.
Yes, and often we make this for lunch because it is so filling, puttu kadlai, because it's heavy also, and
Yes.
dinner especially, it's better to have a light dinner. So often I end up making this for lunch because it's extremely filling. Just make puttu, and if you do not have time to make kadalai, you can have puttu with ripe bananas and papadam. That is a very favorite combination of Mallus. So puttu with papadam and puttu with even bananas, just mixing bananas, ripe bananas, and having it very tasty. Then of course the ragi porridge, again the puttu porridge all these are uploaded onto Munch and Mull. Very simple, very, very simple. Just take about 2 tablespoons, depends on how many people. For one person you just require about 2 tablespoons, and mix it with a little water so that there is no lump formation, and then add a glass of water, boil it, and then switch off the gas, and you add jaggery. And then after you switch off the gas, you can add milk, because we are using jaggery. If you are adding milk when it is hot, there is tendency for it to curdle. So especially when you're using jaggery, somebody is drawing, please don't do that. Whenever you're having any recipe, paisam, I forgot to tell you, rava could be used to make paisam. Just saute the rava, any rava, small millet rava, small rava, and you saute it with ghee and boil it in milk instead of your semia paisam or instead of your pal paisam. Kheer can be made with rava. So porridge here, it's very simple. So as I said, add the milk after you switch off the gas and slightly cool it. And you can, of course, add dry fruits and dates. And here, I don't know whether you're able to see, I have added some soaked groundnuts to it so that it's a complete meal by itself. It's a protein-rich porridge. And it's up to you. You can put dry fruits and bananas you can add to your porridge. So ragi porridge is very, and here, this is a very, very recently uploaded episode for Ganesh Chaturthi. I made ragi korakattai or modakam. So the outer filling, generally it is made with rice. So I offered ragi modakams to my Ganapati on this Ganesh Chaturthi. And the same procedure. Now here, basically here ragi flour, you take 1 cup, salt 1 pinch, cooking oil a little bit. And basically for 1 cup of ragi flour, you require about 1.5 cups of water. So what you have to do is you'll find the recipe here in the channel. You just boil water with a pinch of salt and oil, half a teaspoon of oil. And then when the water is boiling, you add the ragi flour. Take care so that there are no lumps. Mix it, let it cool. And then with your hand, you knead that ragi maavu so that it is soft without any lumps. And then you make it into cups and then fill the purnam. The purnam is sweet. It is made with coconut and jaggery powder. And so in all my recipes on Manchan Mal, I have not used refined white sugar, maida. None of those have been used in any of those recipes. So this is...
Why don't you take a couple of minutes and talk about Manchan Mal? What motivated you to start Manchan Mal? What does it do?
Yeah.
What kind of recipes do you show there?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I would like to invite all of you to subscribe to the Manchan Mal YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, look for Manchan Mal. It's quite a popular channel. So Sujata, please talk about that.
Yeah, Manchan Mal has been a great desire for, by the way, I'm not some great cook and all. I'm just like you. But it's just that we wanted to, we didn't want it to be a recipe channel because there are umpteen recipe channels available. I mean, there are umpteen recipe channels. So we didn't want it to be more a recipe channel. We rather wanted it to be more and for an awareness channel. Health awareness. And when you eat, we need to know what we are eating, how it is impacting the environment. And that is why, I remember we started this in March 2019. So it's almost 1.5 years. But in that sense, I would need your support to popularize it if you could share those videos, because it needs to reach the right audience. As of now, we are at about 5,000 plus subscribers. And we feel that it needs to reach more people. So as I said, it is not a cookery channel. It is more of an awareness channel, and the medium to transmit this awareness is through the medium of vegetarian recipes. So it is like a bonus, you get a recipe in every kind of every episode. And of course, we've made it to ourselves, we've made it clear that we will not be using refined flour and maida and white sugar. So, and it is more of traditional recipes. And I'm not very familiar with Western cooking of pasta and all that. I do make, but I'm not an expert. I'm more home level cooking, home daily cooking I'm more familiar with. And so those are the kind of recipes that we upload that anybody can cook as regular meals in their everyday life. So I'm not into any exotic cooking here. It's everyday cooking that you can eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner. So those are the kind of recipes that we are uploading. And every episode has a mull point at the end, where it could be as simple as the first episode was ragi porridge, was my first episode in March 2019. And the mull point was, would you like to have ragi porridge or would you like to have cornflakes for breakfast? So that was a very simple mull point, that how ragi is beneficial and how millets are beneficial rather than going for packaged cornflakes as a breakfast option. So every episode has a mull point. And as of now, we have uploaded about 70 videos. And thanks to my husband, he does all the shooting, editing, and it is very, very, to get out that 7 to 10 minute video, it is extremely, I mean, it takes a toll actually. But right now we are just continuing because of our passion. And that is the only driving force that, that is driving us to share these recipes with you. So yeah, so that's about Munch and Mull. And I would request you to click the subscribe button and share it with like-minded people who are looking for healthy recipes. Yes,
Do you
Ramesh.
have any more recipes you want
Yeah,
to
this is
share?
ragi korakattai and millet flour. Yeah, millet flour could be used in multiple instant dosa. Just use ragi flour, mix a little rice flour if you want, or just ragi flour. Put some green chilies, put some fresh coconut, dhania. That's it, and your instant dosa is ready. You can mix curd and just leave it for half an hour. And if you add a spoon of rice flour to it, it gives a certain crispiness to the dosa. So very easy. Millet flour can be used to make korakattais, like how we made the outer covering of the modak. In the same way, you can just put oil and you can give tadka to it and make the same outer covering. But here you're not going to fill it. You're just going to be rolling it into balls and steaming it and having it with chutney and all. Rotis, millet flour rotis. I have not yet managed to make roti with 100% millet flour. Now that is, I'm going to be trying that as, the bhakri part of it, where you're not using millets. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm using 50% wheat flour and 50% millet flour to make my rotis. But I need to learn how to make a bhakri perfectly without using millet. And once I learn that, I will upload it. And sweets and snacks, your chakli and murukku, all that, instead of rice flour, you can replace it with millet flours. Biobasics has a range of multi-millet dosa mix, millet health mix, diabetic health mix, which you can contact Biobasics for details. And the last category here is poha. I didn't want to miss that. So we've seen whole grains, we've seen rava, we have seen flour and poha. And this, I tell you, it is just 5 minutes it takes for you to actually come out with a nutritious bowl of food in your hand. It is so easy. And the colored, and especially the finger millet poha is so colorful. It's dark red in color. It's a pleasure to have that bowl of poha. Now, poha is, you just have to wash the poha. Most of these pohas need not even, you need not soak it in water. You wash it in water, rinse it, and with hand, you just sprinkle water on top, and just leave it for about 15 minutes. And your poha is so soft. And then either you can make it as sweet poha, or you can make it into salted poha. This poha is a rice poha, Biobasics red rice poha I have made with jaggery and nothing. It is just poha ko soak kiya hai, and I've added no cooking. Okay, I've just soaked the poha. I've added some fresh coconut. I have added some jaggery powder and a spoon of ghee, and roasted some nuts and put it. That's it. Sometimes I just have this as one bowl as my dinner. It's done, So the same way here, so these are the ingredients: sweet poha and millet poha. Again, as I said, you can have the salted version of it. Just give a little tadka and put some groundnuts and, rai. And then in the salty poha, you can slightly warm it. In the tadka, you add the soaked millet poha, and then garnish it with lemon and coriander or fresh coconut, your salted poha. And vegetables, you can add grated carrot, beans, any vegetables, capsicum, you can add to make it more rich. This is not millet poha, but I have made it with red rice poha. And this episode is uploaded on Munch and Mull for Janmashtami of 2019. Under Krishna's probiotic secrets, something like that. So here we had made dahi poha. Just soak the poha in dahi and give it tadka, salt. Again, you can add kadi patta, green chili, coriander, carrot, you can add here. And this is dahi chura, which is a sweet, which is very popular in North India. Dahi chura is a sweet version. So you just soak the poha, add dahi and bananas to it, and jaggery powder. So here we have the recipe of dahi poha. and dahi chura, which was uploaded for Janmashtami because Krishna loves poha. Yeah, so here there is muesli also. I have not tried this, but Devi has tried it. The co-founder of BioBasics has tried making muesli with poha. So I have not made this, but yes, the BioBasics blog has this recipe of muesli, which you can make it with poha, and children love muesli. So I have yet to try this out. I have not made it. Yeah, so that's it. So this is the Manchanmal site, YouTube channel. And as I said, we have uploaded about 70 videos. So do go through them and do leave your comments in the comment section, because that is what, gives us inspiration to continue. So yeah, I'm so happy. And now if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer. And I hope.
Thanks, Sujata. And over to Madhu, if you can just sift through the questions and chat over the chat.
Can I stop share now?
Yes, please, please.
Yeah.
Madhu, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm back. One second.
Yeah.
So we have quite a bit of questions, but we have a lot more of people saying you're so charming, you have so much energy. I just want to, in case you're not looking at the comments, I just want to convey that to you.
The comments.
So many people being so appreciative.
Thank you so.
The first question was, should we strain the water with after cooking the millet in case they're doing it in open vessel?
Okay. Not necessary. Actually, that's what I said. With trial and error, what happens is in open fire cooking, you approximately, for the little millets, the kodo and the foxtail and barnyard and all, approximately you require about 1:4. So if you put that 4 glasses of water for 1 cup of millet, you need not drain it, because once it is cooked, how do you, and especially for people who are very new to cooking millet, what they can do is periodically they can just take a spoon of millet from the open fire, that vessel, and with hand just check whether it is mashed or not. And then once it is mashed, you just keep it close. So what happens is when you keep it close, the residual water gets absorbed into it. Because when we throw water, what happens is a lot of nutrients get lost. So it's better not to throw that water. I mean, unless people do it in Kerala, it's a very, very popular practice of throwing the water away. And they do not throw it. They actually use that water for kanni. Starting their clothes and all in Kerala, they use it. But here, I don't think that is required. With a little trial and error, you can get the proportion right. I mean.
Now with the rice, Sujata, we have the kanji, that is strain off. It's a fantastic, with a little bit of salt. It's a fantastic drink.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and full of nutrition.
And cool, and very cooling for the summer. You could even add a little dash of buttermilk to that water and drink. It's like very tasty.
The next question was, I think for the larger millets, you were saying for the jowar khichdi you should soak. But for the smaller millets, should we soak it for a couple of hours? How do we cook it best?
I have not soaked, but there is a school of thought that says that there is, especially this Dr. Khadiravali, there is this millet man of India. So he does say that soaking is better, but there's little millets. I have not soaked, kodo and all. I have never soaked. I have just made it as it is. I have not soaked. But yes, the larger, this jawar and all definitely requires soaking. And ragi anyway, when you are actually making idli and all, you need to soak. Any millet for that matter, when you're making idli and dosa, to grind the batter, you anyway have to soak it.
And the other question was, can we make millet rava at home?
You can. I have not tried it, but we made rice rava upma. There is
just like that.
Rice rava upma is uploaded on my channel, but you can actually. It is so easy. I mean, even kodo millet, it is very small grain. But the thing is, you need to probably heat it. You need to heat it so that in that heat, grinding in the mixie becomes easier. So you can create your own rava from your kodo millet and barnyard millet. Yes, it is very, very possible. Yes.
So you'll recommend smaller millets like kodo, foxtail?
Yeah, for rava. Otherwise, at home, using jawar and bajra, you'll not be able to grind it in the mixie. It'll be, your mixie will probably get spoiled. Don't do that. as well. And anyway, you are getting a good supply of rava and a variety of rava from Biobasics. So why do you want to increase your work? You just order it. It's as simple as that.
And we have a question that was asking if mixing millet is a good idea, because there is so many schools of thought in that.
See, I will not be able to comment on the scientific aspect of whether mixing is good, but I think I don't see anyway. As I said, these millets have different micronutrients. Okay, like ragi is very good with calcium. It's got one of the, ragi is one millet which is extremely rich in calcium. So, like what I do for my millet dosa and all, when I do instant dosa, I do mix different millet flours and have it. So I don't think it should cause any damaging effects and all. Absolutely no. I don't think. You can definitely mix millet flours, but then in rice, like when you're eating millet as a rice or a pulao, obviously we would like to make it with one particular thing. You don't want to mix kodo and foxtail and make pulao. You use one type. But if you're making dosa, you can actually soak different millets and grind it. Like we make adai. Adai is a very, very Tamilian this thing with rice, and so I make adai also with millet. I don't use rice. I use rice also, but once in a while I make millet adai. So adai is basically a combination of pulses, chana dal, udad dal, moong dal, and instead of rice, I add any of these millets. I don't use jawar and bajra because they are big ones. I don't, except the khichdi part, but I use foxtail, barnyard, little millet, all these millets I use. For adai, very frequently I make adai with millets. Yes.
When you're talking about this making millet batter for adai or idli mainly, so should we ferment it like just we do the rice idli maavar?
Yes. We have to. Idli, for basically fermentation also increases the vitamin content of your food. Fermentation, makes it more bioavailable, the nutrients. So idli and dosha batter, definitely it needs to be fermented. But when you're making instant dosas with millet flour and all, you need not ferment it because anyway, it's an instant recipe. You just add curd to give that little sour taste for your dosa. But if you're grinding whole millets, definitely it needs to be fermented. Yes.
For 24, like overnight fermentation.
Overnight. Yes, overnight. Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty much all the questions here. A lot of comments. It's just like I said, I will show you the chat when I get some time.
Yeah. I would love to see. I would love to see the comments.
Well, one of the questions I'm seeing here, Madhu, is some people say that millets are for people who have more physical activity. Is that true? What do you say? Is it too heavy for normal people with sedentary lifestyles to have?
I don't think it is heavy, but if we are anyway having a sedentary life, I think people who are really health conscious and all, they anyway monitor their food, who are health conscious. And so I wouldn't say that, if we have sedentary lifestyles, we should not be having millets. I think it is better to have millets than rice if you are having sedentary lifestyles, because at least you have that little extra fiber that the millet gives. And, at least you'll not suffer through constipation and all. It's a root cause of many diseases when your system doesn't get cleared. So especially if you are having sedentary lifestyle, then it's better to eat millets rather than polished white rice.
Someone is asking whether there is any supply in Bangalore.
I have responded to them.
You have, yeah, okay. So just for everybody's benefit, Biobasics carries all kinds of millets and in all forms, the whole variety, the whole grain, the rava, the flour, and what else am I missing? So I think
Poha.
And the flakes, yeah, right, and the flakes, the poha part of it. So I think all.
Chuda also, I forgot chuda. Just so roast it or deep fry it like you make chuda. You can make chuda also.
Yeah. So good. So thanks everybody for the questions. Here once again, Sujata, thanks a lot for taking the time and the effort to put together all these recipes. We ourselves enjoy watching you on Munch and Mull. So once again, I'll request everyone here to check out the Munch and Mull website, subscribe to it, And as Sujata said, it's more of an awareness session being talked about, more of mull points there. So please do subscribe to that and see if it can be spread and sent out to your friends and such. We also carry our these huddle sessions for the benefit of all our customers as well as for the general public. So we do upload this within a day or two. We upload this video in our BioBasics website, YouTube channel as well. So if you like, please do take a look at that if you've missed part of this session as well. So anyway, thanks again, Sujata, for taking the time.
So much. Thanks to BioBasics. Thanks to my husband for putting the slideshow. I have not worked on the slideshow. And thanks to all the viewers who've been with us for the last 1 hour. And I hope that you are able to successfully make that switch.
Exactly.
And have a balanced thing. It's not that you don't have to have rice. Just include everything because they offer a different set of nutrients. So great. Thank you so much.
And if you are, for everyone else, please, thanks for joining us here. And I hope this session has been very useful. I think it has been. And please do reflect on all the points made here and choose organic, choose millets wherever you can, add it to your diet, and so that all of us can be healthy going into the future. So feel free to reach out to BioBasics and Munch and Mull. Both the contact details are there on your screen. Feel free to reach out and stay in touch. And once again, thanks a lot for being here today, and wish you all the best, and goodbye and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.